Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about mistakes that even native speakers make in the English language. And I've made them a couple of times and was corrected by the native speakers. So if you're interested, please continue watching this vlog. Now I'm gonna start with sharing some great news with you. I just moved into a new home and I'm so excited. Let me know down in comments below if you want a tour of my new place. I've already filmed 2 tours of my previous places. If you like them and if you want to see the new one, comment below. The first mistake is using me, myself, and I. So for example, you have a friend and you and your friend are going out. What I used to say, I would say, I and John are going somewhere, which is completely wrong because if you're talking about you and somebody else, you should put that person first. The correct version would be John and I are going somewhere. If you want to use myself, you would not use it when you're just talking about you and somebody else. You would be using myself when you've already mentioned yourself in the sentence. Remember that song by Fergie, It's Personal, Myself and I? We've got some straightening out to do. So you're gonna use myself when you already have I in the sentence. So it's myself and I. If you're going to a party and the person who's organizing the party is asking you who you're bringing and you're not bringing anyone, so you can reply, it's just myself and I. By the way, if you write important emails in English, if you write to a university where you want to study, or if you're reaching out to investors, employers, whatever, you have to make sure that your text doesn't have any mistakes. And there is a great service called Fluent Express. My team and I, not I and my team and I, developed this service. So if you want to correct your texts get corrected by native speakers in real time. So you upload the text and you wait for a couple of minutes and then you get the text corrected, you see your mistakes, and you also get the text which is written in an American way. So if you write important emails, if you write important text, Fluent Express is there for you. The next mistake that a lot of people make, I make it, I still make it, but I try to remember it every time. It's mixing up then and then. Then, it's THEN, is used for describing events step by step. We went outside, then we grabbed some food, then we went into a park, and then we went home. So then is to describe the time sequence. Then THAN is used to describe comparisons. So I am taller than my friend, so here then is then. And it's pronounced a completely different, well, it's not a completely different way, it's a different way. So then, you're kind of smiling when you pronounce it. Then, the comparison word, you open your mouth. So train it, then and then. 2 completely different words, please do not mix them up. Then is to describe sequences, then is to describe comparisons. Then. This is something I would say intermediate/upper intermediate level, so be all ears, take out your notebooks, take out your laptops, and be ready to write things down. This is which versus that. Now let's look at 2 sentences. Sentence number 1. Our office, which has 2 lunchrooms, is located in San Francisco. Sentence number 2. Our office that has 2 lunchrooms is located in San Francisco. Now these sentences are not the same. The first sentence tells us that you have just 1 office and it's located in San Francisco. The clause, which has 2 lunchrooms, gives us additional information, but it doesn't change the meaning of the sentence. We can just take out the part which has 2 lunchrooms and we still get the same information. Our office is in San Francisco. Maybe I just wanted to add something about our office and I say which has 2 lunchrooms. I can also say which is located on the top floor of a cool building. So this is just additional information used to describe the office. The sentence is about where the office is located. But let's look at the second sentence. The second sentence suggests that we have multiple offices, but the office with 2 lunchrooms is located in San Francisco. The phrase that has 2 lunchrooms is known as a restrictive clause because another part of the sentence, our office, depends on it. You can't remove that clause without changing the meaning of the sentence. Our office that has 2 lunchrooms is located in San Francisco. So probably you had a conversation before and you were talking about several offices that you have in the United States. Some of them have 2 lunchrooms, some of them have 1 lunchroom, but here you are emphasizing that the office that had 2 lunchrooms is located in San Francisco. Can you see the difference here? If the sentence doesn't need the clause, like the first example, we can just remove which has 2 lunchrooms, just additional information. We use which. If you cannot remove that clause, if you need to tell people, hey, I'm talking about the exact office that has 2 lunchrooms, I'm not talking about just an office, I'm talking about one exact office, you cannot remove that clause and you use that. So this was which versus that. Again, as I said, this is pretty upper intermediate, and you would notice those mistakes when you travel to a country or when you have like really profound conference or something. So my recommendation would be travel to a country where the language is spoken, take a language course, stay with locals, interact with them as much as possible. And that's the only way to hear how people really talk. Notice your mistakes, because you know what? The first step to correcting your own mistakes is actually noticing them. When you're just talking, you're like, oh, I'm using which instead of that, and then instead of which, okay. But then once you notice them, you're like, oh, I've made a mistake. I'm gonna correct myself next time. So remember this, write this down, and practice it when you travel somewhere to an English-speaking country through linguatrip.com. Now let's look at another thing that I used to mix, but I used to mix these 2 words up when I was 15 years old. Now I don't do that. So I'm talking about the words number and amount. When we're talking about things that we can count, for example, people, we can count the number of people in a group. That's why I'm using the number of people, because I can say, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 people here in the room, so it's the number of people. But if you cannot count something, for example, when you're baking and you are using flour, you cannot count flour, because if you're gonna count those small things, you're gonna end up dying. I don't know, it's gonna take years. You say amount, the amount of flour, the amount of water. So all of the uncountable things, you use amount. For the countable things, you use number. And the last but not the least is IE versus EG. I know a lot of people love to use these 2 contractions because they think it makes them sound more proficient. And I agree, this is a proficient level of English, but it is so important to use these IE and EG where it's appropriate. So let's look at cases where using them is inappropriate and appropriate. IE means that is, or in other words. It comes from the Latin words id est. E.g. means for example. It comes from the Latin words exempli gratia. Only use these 2 contractions when writing informally. So if you're writing a personal statement, if you are creating a resume, if you are writing an essay for your TOEFL exam, you cannot use them. This is informal. This is for an email to your friend, an email to your colleague, an email to your partner with whom you've been working for years. So please don't write it to your professor. How to use these 2 contractions properly. He liked many different cheeses, e.g. cheddar, camembert, and brie. We are giving examples of the cheeses that he liked, and here we use e.g. for example. He objects to the changes, i.e. he won't be accepting them. Here we use i.e. because we are kind of explaining what we mean by objecting changes, and by objecting changes we mean that he does not accept them.
G, last week she predicted.
I hope you got it, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you wrote things down. Please let me know if you want to see my apartment tour as a next video, or maybe you want to see more English language classes. Please comment down below. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments. So thank you so much for watching this up to the end. Like if this information was useful and you want more videos like that. If you don't want to miss my new videos, please click subscribe button below this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!